When most people hear the phrase self-care, they imagine a glass of wine in the bathtub, a spa day with cucumbers on their eyes, or maybe a day off with no obligations. Those moments feel good, no question about it, but they are not the foundation of real self-care. They're surface-level treats, temporary escapes from stress. And while there's nothing wrong with enjoying them, they don't build the deep well of strength and stability you need to thrive in your daily life. Real self-care is not about escape, it's about creation. It's about building habits and practices that support your body, mind, and spirit every single day, not just when life gets overwhelming. Think about it this way. If you only charge your phone when it's about to die, you'll live in a constant state of panic over that red battery bar. But if you plug it in regularly, it's always ready for you. That's what genuine self-care does for your life. It charges you consistently, so when challenges come, and they always do, you're not running on fumes. You're prepared, centered, and strong. Let's be honest. Sometimes self-care is boring. It's brushing your teeth at night even when you're tired. It's going to bed on time when Netflix begs you for one more episode. It's making that healthy meal instead of grabbing junk food. It's setting boundaries even when it feels uncomfortable. Self-care isn't about indulgence. It's discipline wrapped in kindness. It's choosing the things today that your future self will thank you for. Take sleep, for example. So many women run on exhaustion like it's normal. You push through the day, pouring into everyone else, your job, your family, your friends, and by the time you finally get into bed, your brain is buzzing with everything you didn't do. The cycle repeats, and before long, you feel irritable, foggy, and disconnected from yourself. But prioritizing rest is one of the most radical forms of self-care. It's not glamorous, but it's powerful. Sleep restores your body, repairs your mind, and sets the foundation for emotional balance. Without it, everything else crumbles. Choosing to rest is an act of self-respect. Then, there's the way you feed yourself. Food can be medicine, or it can be poison, depending on how you treat it. If you constantly fuel your body with processed sugar and caffeine just to get through the day, your energy will crash, your mood will spiral, and your body will eventually protest. Self-care means slowing down enough to notice what your body truly needs and honoring it. It's cooking yourself a nourishing meal, even if no one else is watching. It's choosing hydration over another soda. It's not about diets or restriction. It's about giving your body the strength to carry you through the life you want to live. Movement is another part of this deeper self-care. Not punishing exercise that feels like torture, but movement that reminds you what your body is capable of. Walking, stretching, dancing in your living room, lifting weights, whatever connects you to your strength and energy. Movement isn't a punishment for what you ate. It's a celebration of what your body can do. And when you shift into that perspective, exercise becomes an empowering ritual, not a chore. But let's not just talk about the body. Mental and emotional self-care are equally critical. How often do you notice your inner dialogue? The way you talk to yourself when you make a mistake, when you look in the mirror, or when you feel behind? Most of us are far harsher to ourselves than we would ever be to someone we love. And that inner critic drains more energy than almost anything else in your life. Self-care here means catching that voice, challenging it, and replacing it with words of compassion. It's not about lying to yourself or pretending everything is perfect. It's about being honest without being cruel. When you make a mistake, you can hold yourself accountable without tearing yourself down. That's emotional hygiene. Boundaries are another piece of the puzzle. Real self-care isn't always soft. Sometimes it's sharp. Sometimes it's saying no. Sometimes it's walking away. Sometimes it's disappointing someone else so you don't keep disappointing yourself. Boundaries protect your energy and your peace, but setting them can feel uncomfortable, especially if you've spent your life putting others first. And yet, every time you draw a line that honors your well-being, you're teaching yourself that your needs matter. That's the kind of care that builds resilience. Another layer of true self-care is giving yourself permission to slow down. We live in a culture that glorifies busyness. If your schedule isn't packed, you feel guilty. If you're not hustling, you feel lazy. But rest is not laziness. Rest is fuel. Taking 10 minutes to breathe, journal, or sit in silence can be more restorative than pushing through another task on your to-do list. Quiet time helps you reconnect with yourself so you don't lose sight of what really matters, and don't underestimate the role of joy. Self-care isn't just about fixing what's broken. It's about filling your life with things that light you up. Playfulness, creativity, laughter. These are not extras. They're essentials. They remind you that life is more than obligations. They remind you that you're allowed to feel good, not just when the work is done, but right here in the middle of it. Joy is fuel for resilience. It keeps you connected to your humanity. Here's the truth. Redefining self-care is not about chasing perfection or checking off some ideal wellness routine. It's about paying attention. It's about asking yourself every day, what do I need to feel whole? What would support me right now? Some days the answer will be a workout. Some days it will be calling a friend. Some days it will be stepping back from social media. And yes, sometimes it will be a bubble bath. The point is not the activity. The point is the intention behind it. You're choosing, moment by moment, to treat yourself like someone worth caring for. Real self-care builds trust with yourself. Every small act, going to bed on time, drinking water, moving your body, speaking kindly, becomes a vote for the kind of woman you want to be. You're telling yourself, I matter. My energy matters. My well-being matters. And when you live from that place, everything else in your life changes. You show up stronger in your work, more present in your relationships, more grounded in your decisions. You stop running on empty and start living from overflow. That's why self-care cannot be reduced to surface-level pampering. It's not a one-time event. It's a lifelong practice of tending to yourself with consistency and respect. It's not glamorous. It's not always fun. But it's the foundation of self-love and inner peace. And until you embrace it as a non-negotiable part of your life, you'll keep mistaking exhaustion for strength and burnout for achievement. Self-care is the quiet power that sustains everything else you do. Self-love is one of those phrases we hear everywhere, but few people truly understand what it means. It's not standing in front of a mirror chanting affirmations you don't believe. It's not about becoming flawless or reaching some imaginary standard of worth. Real self-love is about building an unshakable relationship with yourself that doesn't collapse every time life throws a challenge your way. It's about acceptance, compassion, and resilience. And most importantly, it's about creating a foundation inside yourself so strong that you no longer seek constant validation from the outside world. For so many women, self-love feels out of reach because we've been conditioned to see it as selfish or arrogant. You were taught that your worth is tied to what you do for others, how you look, how productive you are, or how perfect your life appears from the outside. That conditioning is heavy. It's why you feel guilty for saying no, why you pick apart your reflection in the mirror, why you downplay your achievements, and why you struggle to celebrate yourself without immediately cutting it down with criticism. This is where the work of cultivating unshakable self-love begins, by challenging the old scripts you've been handed and rewriting them in a voice that truly supports you. Self-love begins with awareness. You cannot love yourself if you don't even notice how you're speaking to yourself. Most women have a constant inner critic running the show. That voice is quick to judge, quick to shame, and quick to remind you of everything you're not. If you make a mistake, the critic calls you stupid. If you succeed, it whispers that it's not enough. If you rest, it tells you you're lazy. And if you care for yourself, it accuses you of being selfish. The critic is ruthless. Self-love doesn't mean you silence that voice overnight. It means you learn to notice it and question it. When that voice shows up, You pause and ask, is this thought actually true? Is this thought kind? Would I say this to someone I love? That moment of awareness is the first step toward dismantling self-sabotage. Another pillar of self-love is learning to set boundaries. Many women believe they must say yes to every request, every responsibility, every demand. You want to be liked, you don't want to disappoint anyone, and so you sacrifice yourself in the process. But self-love is not about pleasing everyone else. It's about protecting yourself. Every time you say yes when you want to say no, you teach yourself that your needs don't matter. Every time you overextend to avoid conflict, you chip away at your sense of self-respect. Boundaries are not walls, they are doors. They allow the right things in and keep the harmful things out. And each time you honor a boundary, you reinforce the message, I am worthy of care. I am worthy of respect. I am worthy of peace. Self-love also shows up in the way you honor your body, not by punishing it into a certain shape, but by treating it with respect. So many women spend years at war with their bodies, constantly criticizing, constantly restricting, constantly believing they will finally deserve love once they look a certain way. But self-love flips the script. It says, I don't have to earn my worthiness through appearance. My body is not an ornament, it's an instrument. Self-love means feeding your body not from a place of shame, but from a place of nourishment. It means moving it, not to punish it, but to celebrate what it can do. It means resting it without guilt. And when you shift your relationship with your body, everything else changes. Your energy, your confidence, your joy. And let's talk about mistakes. Perfectionism is one of the biggest enemies of self-love. Women are often told that they must be perfect in every role. Perfect at work, perfect as a partner, perfect as a mother, perfect in appearance. But perfection is impossible, and the pursuit of it is exhausting. Self-love means allowing yourself to be human. You will fail. You will say the wrong thing. You will make decisions you regret. That's not a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of your humanity. When you love yourself, you don't ignore mistakes, but you don't weaponize them against yourself either. You take the lesson, you grow, and you move forward. You replace shame with compassion, and that compassion creates resilience. Comparison is another trap that steals self-love. It's so easy to scroll through social media, see the highlight reels of other women's lives, and immediately decide that you are falling short. You see someone with the career, the relationship, the body, the lifestyle, and you feel less than. But comparison is a thief because it distracts you from your own path. Self-love is about turning your attention back inward, about asking, what do I want? What matters to me? What feels authentic in my life? When you stop measuring yourself against someone else's yardstick, you reclaim the freedom to live your own story. Cultivating self-love also means learning to celebrate yourself, not waiting for someone else to validate you, but being willing to acknowledge your own progress. Too often, women minimize their wins. You land the job, but you tell yourself it's luck. You achieve a goal, but you immediately focus on the next one. You accomplish something big, but you downplay it to make others comfortable. Self-love interrupts that cycle. It says, I can celebrate myself without apology. I can own my achievements. I can be proud without being arrogant. That celebration is fuel. It builds confidence and momentum, and it reinforces your inner strength. An unshakable sense of self-love is not about ignoring the hard parts of your life. It's about standing with yourself through them. When you face heartbreak, loss, rejection, or failure, self-love is the voice that says, I am still worthy. I am still enough. I will not abandon myself here. That's what makes it unshakable. It's not conditional. It's not based on whether people approve of you, whether your body looks a certain way, whether your career is soaring, or whether your relationships are picture perfect, it's rooted in something deeper, the simple truth that your worth is not up for negotiation. One of the most powerful practices for cultivating self-love is learning to spend time with yourself and actually enjoy it. So many women are uncomfortable being alone because in the silence, all the self-doubt and insecurity rise to the surface. But solitude is where you truly get to know yourself. It's where you reconnect with your passions, your desires, your inner wisdom. Self-love grows in those moments of intentional connection with yourself, when you stop distracting and start listening. Finally, cultivating unshakable self-love requires patience. You cannot flip a switch and undo years of conditioning overnight. This work is gradual, it's messy, it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back. But every time you choose compassion over criticism, every time you honor a boundary, every time you feed your body with respect, every time you catch yourself in comparison and redirect your attention inward, you are building the muscle of self-love. And like any muscle, the more you use it, the stronger it becomes. Inner peace is not something you stumble upon one day and keep forever. It is not a static destination where everything is calm and life never rattles you again. Inner peace is a practice, a daily choice to create space in your mind and heart where chaos cannot take control. For women especially, cultivating and protecting that peace is essential because the world constantly pulls you in 1,000 directions. Expectations pile on. Be productive, be present, be attractive, be successful, be available, be perfect. And somewhere in that storm, your own needs, your own voice, and your own clarity get lost. Protecting your inner peace is about reclaiming that voice, building a center so strong that the noise of life cannot drown it out. One of the first steps in protecting your peace is learning the power of letting go. So much of your stress and anxiety comes from holding on to grudges, to unrealistic expectations, to the need to control outcomes. When you grip everything so tightly, you exhaust yourself. You cannot control how others behave. You cannot guarantee how life will unfold, and you cannot carry every burden alone. Inner peace comes when you release what you cannot control and place your energy on what you can. You can choose your response. You can choose your boundaries. You can choose your perspective. That shift from clinging to surrender is where peace begins to grow. Another core piece of protecting peace is guarding your environment. You are shaped by the spaces you spend time in, by the people around you, by the information you consume. If your environment is chaotic, negative, or draining, it will seep into you. Think about your digital environment, for example. Social media is a constant source of comparison, conflict, and noise. Hours spent scrolling can leave you anxious, distracted, and disconnected from your real life. Protecting your peace means curating what you allow in, unfollowing accounts that make you feel less than, limiting your exposure to toxic news cycles, and being intentional about how you use technology. The same applies to relationships. Some people feed your soul and others drain it. Self-protection requires discerning who deserves your time and energy, and having the courage to create distance when needed. Inner peace also demands the discipline of presence. So much turmoil comes from living in the past or the future. You replay old mistakes, regrets, and what-ifs, or you spiral into anxiety about what could go wrong tomorrow. The mind rarely sits still in the now, but peace is only found here. When you practice presence, whether through meditation, journaling, mindful walking, or simply breathing, you bring your focus back to this moment. This is where clarity exists. This is where joy hides. Presence doesn't mean ignoring the future or denying the past. It means not letting them steal today from you. Each time you return to the present, you strengthen the muscle of peace. Boundaries are another non-negotiable when it comes to inner peace. Without boundaries, your life becomes an open door for other people's stress, demands, and drama. You become a sponge for everyone else's emotions, constantly reacting instead of choosing. Protecting your peace means drawing lines not only around your time, but also around your energy. It may mean saying no to obligations that don't align with your values. It may mean limiting conversations with people who thrive on negativity. It may mean structuring your day so you have space to rest and breathe. Boundaries are not about shutting out the world. They're about protecting the conditions you need to stay grounded and whole. There's also the matter of self-talk. The voice in your head is either your biggest ally or your greatest enemy when it comes to peace. If your thoughts are filled with judgment, comparison, and fear, your mind becomes a battlefield. But when you train yourself to speak with compassion, to replace harsh words with supportive ones, you create an internal sanctuary. Peace is not just external quiet, it's internal safety. It's knowing that when life gets hard, you won't turn on yourself. You'll stand beside yourself with patience and care. Another element of strengthening inner peace is practicing acceptance. Acceptance does not mean resignation. It doesn't mean giving up or staying stuck in situations that harm you. It means acknowledging reality as it is before you decide how to move forward. When you fight against what is, you create endless friction. You waste energy wishing things were different instead of using that energy to change what you can. Acceptance is a doorway to clarity. It allows you to see things as they are, not as you fear them to be or wish them to be. And from that clarity, you can act with strength instead of panic. Peace also grows when you create rituals of renewal. Life will always be stressful at times, but you can design practices that restore you before the pressure builds too high. That might be journaling in the morning to clear your mind, moving your body to release tension, or spending time in nature to reset your nervous system. These small, consistent practices send a powerful signal to your mind and body. You are safe, you are grounded, you are cared for. The more regularly you tend to yourself, the more resilient your peace becomes. It's also important to recognize the role of forgiveness in cultivating peace. Holding on to resentment and anger is like carrying a burning coal in your hand. It only harms you. Forgiveness is not about excusing harmful behavior or denying your pain. It's about releasing the grip that pain has on your peace. When you forgive, you unchain yourself from the past. You choose freedom over bitterness. Forgiveness is a gift you give yourself, a way of clearing the space inside you so peace has room to live. Gratitude, too, is a practice that strengthens peace. It shifts your focus from scarcity to abundance, from what's missing to what's present. Gratitude grounds you in what is good, even when life is messy. It doesn't erase challenges, but it gives you perspective. When you cultivate the habit of noticing what is working, what is beautiful, what is supportive, you calm the restless urge to always chase more. Gratitude roots you in sufficiency, and sufficiency is fertile soil for peace. Another critical piece of protecting peace is choosing your battles. Not everything deserves your reaction. Not every conflict needs your participation. Sometimes peace is preserved by walking away, by letting go of the last word, by refusing to be pulled into someone else's storm. This doesn't mean you avoid accountability or hard conversations. It means you choose wisely. You ask yourself, will engaging in this bring me closer to peace or pull me further from it? Peace is not found in being right all the time. It's found in choosing what truly matters and releasing what does not. Inner peace also grows stronger when you align your life with your values. So much anxiety comes from living out of sync with what you know is true for you. When your actions don't match your beliefs, you feel restless, uneasy, and conflicted. But when you make choices that reflect your deepest values, whether it's integrity, compassion, creativity, or freedom, you create harmony. Peace comes from congruence, from knowing you are living in alignment with what matters most to you. That alignment becomes an anchor when life feels uncertain. Finally, protecting your peace means honoring your own pace. The world pushes you to rush, to constantly strive, to achieve faster, to do more. But peace cannot be rushed. It is cultivated slowly, intentionally, through presence and care. You don't need to run at everyone else's speed. You don't need to measure your progress against someone else's timeline. When you give yourself permission to move at the rhythm that feels right for you, you create space for calm, clarity, and strength to emerge naturally.